So, Dr. Donfried, what is your opinion on the leaders of international organizations? So, you are a founder of the Institute of Cultural Diplomacy. How can leaders of international organizations contribute to the credibility of these institutions? Thank you.
One of my theses as I look at the direction of cultural diplomacy in the future is that we need to do more listening as opposed to speaking. So I think one way of really showing a respect and building a trust with your counterparts is, as was referred to by many of the speakers, being a good listener. And I think the cultural diplomacy can very often reflect that. So instead of this more classical idea of cultural diplomacy speaking, if I'm French, I want to tell you about French culture, bring you French music, French movies, etc. What about doing the opposite? Going into a situation and first listening, paying respect to that local culture, privileging it, giving voices to those who maybe don't already have voices. That might be one strategy that could be considered by NGOs, civil society as well, to build a bridge, to create a mutual trust that then could add to the authenticity and also the legitimacy of whatever the action or the project is. So that might be one thought for us to think about.
Thank you very much indeed, András. If I may, actually, so you suggest putting ourselves into the shoes of others, basically. Thank you. András, my question would be, how can history contribute to the credibility of international organizations, and especially to the rebuilding or questioning of credibility in times of political change? Thank you.
Very important questions. I wish I could answer here in this short time, and I think this is why it's so important to study history. Actually, when we are now living in history again, it was said that history is over. It definitely wasn't over and will not over ever. But I think everything that we have learned, and particularly in the case of the United Nations, which was a very interesting historical experiment, after the League of Nations, something totally new wanted to be created, and this totally new started to function for a while, and then this functioned, and again it was working well. But I do think that in the long run, we cannot, as Anikó said, we cannot really replace the United Nations. This is a working organization with enormous potentials. So again, if we have to look back history and think about, for example, Russia, can you ever with violence solve international conflicts? Never. Always try. Can you for a very long time maintain big empires? No, you can't. So once people would understand history, not only make history, that would help enormously. And obviously the member states are the key players, and again the member states' role should be thought again over regarding also the global changes that happened, that the once 80 years ago the founders are sometimes now sort of skeletons compared to new very powerful nations that emerged in the time. So I would vote for history, and let's see how it will unfold.
Thank you. So study history at high levels and in thorough manners. Thank you. Judy, what is the one quality in psychology that would contribute to the credibility of the UN system? Thank you.
When a company is in trouble, they often call on outside intervention called organizational psychologists to come in and evaluate. What are you doing? What's working? What's not working? Because the UN is not doing that from the inside. And so my recommendation would be for them to hire outside consultants and review all the suggestions we heard about today, everything that's going on in the building, and follow some of those suggestions about change from within.
Thank you very much. So be the change you want to see. Thank you. Anikó, how can international law contribute to the credibility of international organizations and specifically the UN system? Thank you.
I haven't mentioned in my speech, but I think one more element what we can say is actually the court system and the settlement of disputes peacefully. We should not forget that we have the International Court of Justice, and not only that, but we have the International Criminal Court. We have human rights courts. So we have established a very robust institutional background also for peaceful settlement of disputes, and the states should use it to further peace, because there are possibilities to handle disputes, not only via arms, but and if diplomacy is not working, if negotiation is not there, you can still go to court, like in civilized nations we do.
Thank you very much. Never underestimate the role of international law. Thank you. Now I'm inviting Dr. Zavir Zahara to kindly conclude this discussion, please. Zavir is an international policy advisor and social impact leader, currently serving as an advisor on Security Council matters at the permanent mission of Pakistan to the UN. Thank you.
So before people start, I saw people's eyes rolling when she said I'm a youth advocate. UN defines youth as 35 and younger, so I will leave it at that. I am younger than 35, so I'm still a youth. But with that being said, I would like to thank our organizers for such a timely discussion and to our panelists as well for all your insightful things. I do think the UN is at an inflection point, and I think it's very important to understand that we are the UN. In the UN Charter, it says we the people, not we the government. So it's very important for us to take accountability that we are the UN. And yes, it's not perfect, it's not flawless, but it is an institution where 193 countries sit together. And I do think there's merit to that. There is hope for it. And yes, I do know that it's not about criticizing the UN right now, it's about preserving what the UN does and what it stands for. And because multilateralism, with all its imperfections, I do think it's the only way forward, and that is what our panelists have said as well. So I would like to conclude the session by saying that. So thank you.
Thank you to each and every one of you for this splendid session. I was really honored and privileged to have you, and thank you, Madam President.